And I think it's we're gonna talk about our meat, our I don't know, our big topic of this one would be because the Las Vegas Knights have just
The Golden Knights, not just any Knights.
okay,
These are
Golden Knights. My bad, sorry.
Golden Knights
have clinched their berth to the Stanley Cup Finals, which I think is no, because the Capitals just won a couple of days ago, right? So
Yes.
they won't play the game, I think, until
2
tomorrow.
days ago.
No, is it tomorrow or Tuesday?
I'm honestly not sure.
Well,
I
anyway.
think it's tomorrow.
Yeah, so they clinched their berth to the Stanley Cup Finals, and we're gonna look. I'm gonna double check. But we're gonna mostly just talk about expansion teams and their success in any sport, really. I looked up a couple of articles. There's ones that had like best and worst team in different sports. They're definitely the most successful expansion team because I think
Hands down.
other sports, none of them even made the playoffs. I don't think any of them even had a 500 record in any of the other sports that I looked up.
Not even the Panthers one that we saw.
I think they
The Florida Panthers.
think they might have. No, they didn't. Just under
33,
one game.
34.
Yeah,
Yeah, one game
33
under.
with an 8.
Okay.
And then because like even like you look at like an expansion team, the worst expansion team for at the NHL was the Capitals back in 74 and 75, which is 8, 63 and 5.
67.
Or 67 and 5. Like that's pretty bad, unfortunately.
That's really bad.
Yeah. But I mean, the best team for baseball was 70 and 91. That was the LA Angels. I could say that. In 61. Worst team for baseball was the New York Mets in 62. 40 and 120. Imagine losing 120 games, dude. Gee, that's ridiculous.
I don't know. We might see it this year.
We may see, I guess multiple teams, but and then the Chicago Bulls, their inaugural season in 67 and 66 through 67 was 33 and 48. Worst team, Vancouver Grizzlies.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay, 95, 96 season they went 15 and 67. The NFL's worst, our best team was the Carolina Panthers, who in 95 went 7 and 9. The worst team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who went 0-14 in 1976. So they did what the Bears did this year, but with 2 more games added to it.
Did you say Tampa Bay Bears? Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No, I said they did what the. Oh no, they did what the Browns did this year. Sorry, I apologize.
The Browns are professional losers. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Their
name is literally almost technically. I'm gonna bleep that one out, but yeah. So like, the most interesting part about it is like, should the NHL be kind of embarrassed that they have their expansion team not just making the playoffs, getting past the first round, and then going all the way to the Stanley Cup, and then potentially winning it? Like, should they be embarrassed? That's my first question.
100,000%. If this might already happen just because they made it to the Stanley Cup final, but if by some miracle, and this is entirely possible because the Capitals in their history are choking dogs,
yeah,
especially against the Penguins. If the Vegas Golden Knights win the Stanley Cup Finals, you will see the expansion draft rules changed 100%. So that this never happens again. There is no scenario where all the other teams in the NHL got to block, I think, like 8 to 10 players. So like 8 to 10, I should have looked this up before we started, but like
we're just saying they're very generous.
So you get to protect X number of players on your roster that can't be taken. So like we'll use just 10 as like an arbitrary number. So like say like the 10 best players on your roster, you get to protect them so that the Vegas Golden Knights cannot draft them.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then you're gonna tell me that a team comprised of nothing but the 11th best players from all around the league,
plus like a couple draft picks
and a couple draft picks, sure. All right, beats the entire league. There are franchises in this league that have not won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And they've spent probably at this point billions of dollars
That's questionable. I don't know. Maybe millions.
Millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions.
Lots of zeros involved. And they have not even gotten close.
Or scraping the surface.
Yeah. The Knights did make that one trade with the Florida Panthers. So, like, they did have a couple, like, top-tier players on their team.
Yeah.
And then I think also that, as eBay is reminding us, that baseball cards are for sale. Marc-Andre Fleury has had a complete renaissance. Like, obviously, when he was in his prime for the Penguins, like, he was definitely capable of what we've seen this season from him and what we've seen so far in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But I don't think anyone really expected that. I think that's why he was available in the first place. The Penguins did not think that this was possible.
Well, he's like, the Predators had, I forgot their goalie's last name, from last year, who kind of like, he's had, it was his chance. Eventually, he got his chance as not even just like as a starter, and then eventually being really, really impressive because he's the reason why the Ducks lost in the playoffs last year, in the conference finals. But it's very interesting to look at how the potential, because like baseball is eventually maybe going to be having two teams once. I think they said that once they finalize the plans or sort out the issues between the A's and the Tampa Bay Rays. But I think the Rays already
I think the Rays are building a stadium.
Yeah, they're building a new stadium.
Yeah.
And then the A's, I think a couple years ago, tried to buy the stadium from the city, but it was denied, and they're still like in a limbo basically.
Yeah.
So like seeing like a potential baseball team that might have this kind of, I don't think that baseball team would be able to have this kind of success like this in modern day.
I mean, there's a reason why we just went through like the 4 major sports in America, and none of the best expansion teams had a winning record.
Yeah.
So like the way that the rules normally work,
even like the last NHL expansion team are the best record. The Panthers, they probably even almost made the playoffs that year.
And I think it was the Jacksonville Jaguars, I want to say, their second year they went to an NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
I think so. Like there have been some franchise teams that have found quick success, but like if you're the Vegas Golden Knights, like where do you go from here? Like it can only get worse.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah,
you win like
because like next season, like the whole like everyone's gonna see this coming in a way. They're not gonna be.
I don't know. I feel next season, I feel like they've already made themselves a destination.
Okay.
I feel like in just like what they've been able to do with the relatively limited resources they had this year, like they're already a destination now. Like everyone talks about in the league about how like crazy the support is and like how awesome the home games are and like the atmosphere at the rink and like.
Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of those people are intoxicated, but
hey, but it makes for fun hockey.
It does.
So like everything that you hear from the players, like they really love playing there, and like I said, like the atmosphere. I think like. I don't really know what the free agent class for the NHL looks like for the upcoming season, but I don't see why Vegas wouldn't be up there now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like you're basically, it would appear as though you're joining a contender. Maybe you'll see a little bit of fall off because like it's like too much, like kind of maybe a little bit of a perfect storm that's happening right now.
Yeah,
where like they're getting multiple people that are overperforming simultaneously. So I guess it's possible that they like will drop. I mean, at this point, I would say it's probably likely that they will drop off.
Yeah. I'm not sure even how their salary cap works too much because I'm not sure what there are in like their salary cap. Like
probably pretty low because like I imagine most of the people that they drafted, like there aren't any big salaries. There probably aren't very many big salaries there.
Yeah. Yeah. So like they're gonna have enough cap space to either add extensions and then also bring some extra pieces in.
Yeah.
And if those extra pieces, I mean, you're already looking at a team that's probably going to be easily a potential playoff contender next year as well. So
yeah, and there was another instance I know very early on in the NHL when they expanded from the original 6, where there was someone I saw that cited. I want to say it was the St. Louis Blues that like they made the Stanley Cup Finals in their first year of existence, but the caveat there was that. They kept the original 6 in their own division and created a new division with the next 6 teams. And so, like, one of them had to make the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. So that's kind of...
So, like, and by the way, they were swept 4-0 by the Red Wings, I think, if I remember reading that correctly. I think, like... That's kind of a weird setup, but that makes... So, like, they put all the new teams in their own division.
So, like, cupcakes, and then we're going to have, like, the best teams right here, and then... we're gonna win at the end eventually. So,
Right. Yeah. So
I guess in a way. Unfortunately, that's how sometimes it works out. Because it seems like because like you can even like that with the NBA, with like the West always kind of being the powerhouse. Kind of like
recently, yeah.
and it's like LeBron James. It's like who's gonna play LeBron James this year? But yeah. Okay. So any more thoughts on this?
I mean, congrats to the Golden Knights on their success.
I mean, my brother lives out there, so he's a Knights fan.
Has he been to any games?
I don't think so, but he's apparently a big Knights fan now. That's what we hear.
Big Knights. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really been great what they're doing. I think it's a great underdog story. I remember looking up I was curious because obviously a couple years ago, Leicester won the Premier League. They were on 5,001, and I looked up the.
Caesar said if you would have betted $100 in the beginning of the year on the Knights, you would have won at least $200,000 or at least over $100,000 easily. If they betting them just to get to the Stanley Cup final.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I remember seeing that it was like 500 or 600 to 1. The one article that I read that like their odds. I don't know if that was the beginning of the season or not. But so I think like Leicester winning the Premier League was a bigger Cinderella story.
That's a bigger surprise, honestly. Cause like that's.
But still, like it's pretty crazy what's happened here.
Because there's like a wall in the Premier League.
Yeah.
There's not really. I mean, because like how it's just a different structure because if you have a bad season, you don't get a first round draft pick, and that's American sports. Obviously, you go down, and we saw like this past year, not just or even the year before, we had Sunderland in the top, and then they go down to division, and then now they're back to League One division now. So like you're getting punished more. I feel.
Yeah.
So you can't really. There's not that safety blanket.
There's no handouts.
Yes, exactly. So like that's why it's even a bigger surprise.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it is what it is. We'll see. I mean, not that I don't want to see another baseball expansion team, but it'd be kind of cool to see it have 2 more teams in it. But I don't think the NFL will ever expand at the moment because I know they're really just trying to get their boots into Europe. But it would make no sense to have a team in Europe, I feel.
I think that the only new franchises that we're going to get in the MLB and the NFL are going to be franchises that are relocated and maybe rebranded.
Yeah, well, the Raiders are moving to Vegas, I think.
Mm-hmm. They're already building their stadium.
Yeah, and obviously we had the Rams and the Chargers move to LA. The only thing I think Jacksonville, since they had the recent success, is gonna make it to the championship or the conference championship game. Since I think their attendance has risen because they have blackout rules and stuff. But I don't think we're gonna. Yeah, we definitely won't. Because the last time we had an expansion team for the NFL was the Texans, which was like it's already a decade ago. I think it was 2003, 2004. So that was Derek Carr's brother that took that team. I think it was David Carr.
I think that the biggest obstacle for that expansion at this point is that there's no way, like if baseball were to expand from 30 to 32, there's not a good way for them to balance the schedule. So like in the NFL, you play in your division home and away, I believe. So like you play the other 3 teams in your division home and away, and then you play one other division.
You play the teams that you placed in, like everyone that placed in the conference that you play in. So like all the second place teams play the second place teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in any case, like if you suddenly have like say one NFC team and one AFC team that's now in a 5-team division.
Yeah.
It completely destroys the scheduling. And the same thing would happen in baseball. Like baseball, you play many more games against your division.
I think also with baseball right now, since the Astros came over to the AL, it actually makes it more interesting. I like the interleague play, like week or daily, basically. You're always going to get an interleague game.
There's always someone playing, yeah.
And I think maybe we might even see that. I'm not saying the designated hitter would go away, but it would be interesting if they took that away. Or if that was even a possibility, or bringing.
If anything, it's going to be the other way around. Yeah. It would be that the NL moves to a DH, which I personally don't want to see. Yeah. We're like veering a little off topic here, but I feel like both of those are like there's no good way of handling the scheduling unless you eliminate the conferences. Yeah. Or I'm sorry, the divisions.
Yeah, you just have AL
and have like AL, NL, AFC, NFC.
Yeah.
But that will never happen. Yeah. Because then you can't have what is it, the AFC South that has like recent. I guess no, the Saints. No, I'm not very good with the conferences, but like
what are you talking about?
Like over the last few years, there's always been like one NFL team that's been like complete trash, but made the playoffs because their whole division was trash.
Well, that happens like every year because of like everyone, you know, like I said, you get a free handout. So like sometimes it's been in the AFC West, sometimes it's been the recently with.
I want to say it was like Texans, Falcons, like that division.
No, that's AFC. The NFC South is no. I mean, I think both South divisions have actually had bad years. So it just depends, I guess. It's kind of weird, yeah, because I know the Seattle Seahawks got into the playoffs with an under 500 record, which is like that's why I don't like divisions as much.
Or even the NFC East with like the Cowboys, Giants,
Yeah,
like they've had some pretty trash. Or like one of them is like barely either 500 or barely above, or like I think just a couple of years ago one of them was like 7-9 and made the playoffs.
Yeah,
so it's like that will they'll never redo or like never get rid of the divisions because they're never gonna agree to get rid of like that avenue to the playoffs for like a mediocre team.
Yeah, that's a problem, but it is what it is.
It's another topic for another
day. It's
another
topic.